Hello, everyone. Scott Sommer here. So excited to talk to you about today's episode, which is our bodies are electric. So when you think about that, this topic, changed my life forever and my career because I found out about this concept when I was at Davis. I was a UC Davis student. I was actually a pre-med student ready to go into the world of Western medicine, studying for my MCAT. And then the day happened when I read a book. I picked up a book in UC Davis, bookstore, and this book was about the Eastern medicine and the Eastern philosophy of the body being electric. And I thought, wow, this is like amazing. Like I had learned all about nutrition from my dad as an organic farmer, and I had overcome epilepsy because of food as medicine at age 15. And yet I didn't know anything about this concept of electricity, that the body's actually electric. Kind of shocking, right? So with that said, I read this book for it had to be like 4 hours. I just stood in place reading this book about these ancient concepts of the body being electric. So we're going to talk about, the body as electricity it's electric because it's full of water. We're going to talk about how that is related to the body being electric. The second part we're going to talk about is these meridians, where this electricity flows in the body. And then finally, we're going to talk about the organs as batteries and how they are connected to these circuits. So let's begin. So this is such an important topic for me. I think this is really what sets us apart, in Asian medicine. And, actually, when you think about it, that's why it's so helpful to understand electricity, because we're constantly relying on the power of the body. And it's no different than your house. Your house has this electricity. It has an electric panel on the outside of your house, which would be likened to our skin. And this is how acupuncture really works, is we activate these acupuncture points outside the body to activate the inside of the body, like your electric panel outside your house. So if a circuit goes off, you flip on the switch, flip the circuit back on, and then all of a sudden your toaster works in your kitchen, as an example. So let's talk about the water in the body. And so, it's so interesting how the ancients really studied the comparison of the earth to our body. And so it's really true. I mean, like the earth is like 70 to 75% water, and so are we. Wow. Isn't that something to think about? And so hopefully you learned something there. And so, when we got this 75, even almost 80% hydration in our brain, because the brain is really important as far as hydration, which is why if you don't drink enough water, electrically your brain starts to shut down. So many people that have memory problems and focus issues, and even kids with ADHD, here's a tip, is getting enough water to help the electricity to your brain. Not just to your body, but to your brain. That's why dehydration, one of the symptoms, is lack of focus and memory and just not feeling well. And a lot of headaches are just from dehydration. Interesting. So water is just like a perfect medium, like a battery, but we have to have minerals. So we need to make sure we have, enough minerals in our diet, like through sea salt. Actually, not sea salt. It's more like real salt. I recommend now because the sea is so contaminated. And Celtic salt is another good one, Himalayan salt. But we need enough minerals to be able to hydrate our bodies and our cells. So we need enough water and we need enough minerals, which is the battery. So that's how the battery, we call them electrolytes, like sodium and potassium pump, like for our heart, keeps our heart going. Well, this is the electricity of the body. And that's why with all these ions, which are all these, atoms that have a charge, if you will, an ion, is related to the battery. So make sure you drink enough water to keep your battery going. That's the first step to health and vitality. And make sure you have enough minerals. And so that's really something that you want to make sure you have through eating organic foods, taking the right supplements, whole food supplements we recommend. And all of this will help activate your battery. So let's talk about the second part, which is really the meridians. So the meridians are really a fancy word for the circuits, in your body. So let's just imagine for a minute, let's go back to the house analogy. I just love the analogy of a house because we live in a house, most of us, and, it's a great analogy to our bodies. So when you think about this, these circuits are just like the circuits in your house. So they can become altered, or, you might have a short circuit in a circuit in your house, or maybe it completely goes off, which is what we talked about earlier, which is where the circuit breaker blows, and you have to put it back on. So some people don't even realize that they've blown a circuit, such as scars. Scars are one of the things that I've studied for years, and how scars can greatly affect us, both internally or externally, can interfere with these circuits or these meridians. So this is how this electricity flows from the battery, which is all these electrolytes and water in our body, and how it flows through these circuits, almost like the pipes in your house, flow water to your kitchen, to your bathroom, and to your outside of your backyard, etc. And so it's really important that we keep the flow going, and that's how healthy people are. Olympic athletes have good flow, they have a good battery, and they have life and vitality. So what are the things that block the flow electrically? Like I said, scars, chemicals that we find in our water. If you're drinking tap water, this is one life-saving tip to stop that right away. We have some minerals that we can recommend to put into the water called aquamins or cell food. So I always recommend putting nutritional nutrients into your water. It really helps get the battery charged and gets things flowing. We know things that help the flow of the meridians are exercise, which we'll talk about in more detail, and also handling scars. Putting like wheat germ oil on a scar that you've had for years. Even your belly button is a scar. So we just never know, whether it be an internal scar from an accident, such as a car accident, a fall, a trauma, that can affect our energy flow and affect our vitality. Because when we talk about the body being electric, if you have good electrical flow and a good battery, then you have good energy and good vitality. And things flow like sleep and energy and your memory and your mind and your vitality. And you have no pain when you have good electrical flow. And finally, the third topic that we're talking about is the organs. So the organs all have their own type of battery, if you will. Just like, can you imagine if each organ is like a cell phone? And so you have a cell phone, say, on your organs, such as your kidney and your liver and your spleen. They all have their own energy. And in Asian medicine, we refer that to as kidney chi. Chi meaning energy. And so when we have kidney chi stagnation, it means that if somebody has low back pain and they have problems with their urine flow or urination, they get up at night, they could have kidney chi blockage, if you will. And for a man, that would be like a prostate problem. For a woman, it could be like UTIs and whatnot. So that's important to gather up kind of your symptoms and to understand how they're connected to these organs like batteries. So start thinking of your organs as like little batteries all throughout your body. And do you have good battery power on those organs? And then, it's hard to really have, if you don't have good power to your house, then you might have dimmer switches, almost like dimmer switches is what happens to our organs. They start to turn down and they dim with life because of injury, trauma, chemicals, exposure, even stress, because we know we're mind, body, and spirit. We're all connected. We're not just physical flesh, but we have emotions too. And we have a spirit as well, So all of those things affect us on every level. Even our mind, is very important. What we think, can really affect our health. So with this said, so let's just start thinking about the body as being electric, and as this one huge battery with all these electrical circuits that flow like pipes in your house. And then sometimes you just need to flip the circuit breaker outside, which is like acupuncture. So get some acupuncture. That's a great way to try and understand more fully how your electrical circuits are flowing. I love acupuncture, and it always helps my body to restart and restore electrical flow. And then remember to drink enough water for the body as a battery, and get enough electrolytes through good salt, quality salt like Himalayan salt, like we mentioned, and make sure you have good movement and exercise, and which is another podcast we'll be talking about. And in summary, remember that if you'd like to know more about some of these topics, you can either become a patient or you can watch more of our podcasts and more videos. And to have a more understanding of your body, we recommend that you, of course, dive in deeper, because the more you know, the more you understand about how to be healthy and happy with these life-saving tips. So for now, be healthy, be happy. I'll see you soon.